Hello, welcome to another video where today I'm going to be looking at the value of mobility work combined with stability work, and why doing, or strength work as well for that matter, and why the two of them, or three of them, if they're done separately, are going to produce poor results. If they're done together, they work really well. So here's an example. We've got Kim doing a 90-90 glute stretch to obviously improve mobility at the glutes. Now if she has, say, a hip problem or low back problem, we know there's some problem there, and this is all she does, she's going to get a short-term relief by using the stretch, because it'll temporarily improve the mobility around the joint and desensitize the pain in the area, because the nerves within that area will be, it's almost like their Wi-Fi signals turned down, if you sort of think that analogy, right? So that's why people always find stretching relieves the tightness, but what it doesn't do, and this is where Kim's going to demonstrate, if we're using the example of, say, the hip problem is there because they bend poorly, or they have a back problem, and there's that stiffness at the back of the hip is the reason why they have the problem. Now the stretching on its own is like one part of the puzzle, but by itself it won't change how they move. So if Kim's sort of demonstrating a deadlift here, and if she does poor form to pick it up, so she's sort of demonstrating a couple of bad examples of people, how they might bend over. Those aren't too bad, but then this next one that she does is the common one, and where you'll start to really get like sort of stiffness through the legs, and then there's that real kyphosis, the real rounding out of the spine, and you'll see when she goes on the next one, I think it is, yeah, this one. All right, so it's this sort of horrible position here. Now this horrible bending position, which is what a lot of the people with the bulging discs and the hip impingement type things, no matter what you do for the glute stretching, which is definitely going to be tight, there's no doubt it needs to be done, and it definitely will help, but if you don't address this movement strategy, everything you've just done to loosen that area up is going to be undone, because it's really a stability problem that's driving the stiffness in the first place. All right, so when people understand that, okay, that's the problem, then they think, well, why don't I just go and strengthen things? And that seems to make sense, doesn't it? But unfortunately, you're going to need to get your mobility first, because you may not be able to get the correct position. So see here, Kim, she's pretty close to good form, but not quite where she needs to be. See how that back is just rounded out there? This is where she's at risk of the discs rupturing. Or if she's got a hip impingement, that's where she's not driving the femur back deep into the sockets there. It's going to move up into the front, so she's still going to have these issues. So she needs this glute stretch, or else she's just going to complete the deadlift with poor form. So the strength and the stability of the movement is absolutely essential, but it's very difficult to do if you can't get in the right position to do it. And you can see here there's some poor form where she's bending from the top down at the thoracic region, she's not the worst deadlift you've ever seen. I think it's hard for her to do a bad one. You can see how she's just losing her form slightly. So what you really need to do is combine the two together, but in the order of working on the mobility first, to give your body every chance of finding the correct alignment and positions to align the joints, to then stabilize and strengthen them so that they don't fall out of position, and hence you'll need the stretch again. So by using this strategy of combining the two, this is where so many people rely on physio treatment, massage, or just relying on their stretching to get rid of their pain, and they're really just treating their symptom. If they followed it up with the corrective exercise immediately after loosening it, they'll have every chance of getting rid of it for good, and it never becoming a problem. So you can see here now it looks like a much healthier deadlift, so she'll have that nice little curve that she didn't have before. See, now the discs are safe from harm. She's getting maximum strength into the glutes, but while it's being stretched as opposed to being clenched. The head of the femur is being driven back in there. There's just everything good about this exercise is going to work. And if she does it enough and doesn't overtrain, she won't need the stretches to correct anything. She'll just use them to preserve and maintain things instead of correcting problems all the time. All right, so this is an example. There's many examples I could have used other than this one. I could have done a lot of them for the shoulders or even around the knees as well, where I've got to improve mobility of a certain area to be able to execute the movement that I'm struggling with. So for shoulders, it's usually pushing patterns. For knees, it's usually squatting patterns and single leg type things where you just can't maintain alignment correctly. So I'll loosen the area that's ruining the movement, but instantly follow it up with the corrective stabilizing or strengthening exercise that'll hold it together so I don't need to mobilize again. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that video, and we'll see you on our next one.